I'm filming this so that we can review outcomes versus behaviors and our sphere of control, keeping all of this in perspective. So whether we're facing something that we don't really want to deal with, something small, like maybe it's time to get on the scale, and you're really dreading it because you know your choices deep down inside for the last 3 days or a week or month have really not been in keeping with your goals. Or maybe it's something way more serious like a PET scan, and you are facing that and really nervous for the results. So when it's time to step on the scale or it's time to get that PET scan, we are at the outcome point, right? There's going to be an outcome. It's either going to be some awesome news, it's going to be some really shitty news, whether we're talking about the weight on the scale or the PET scan results. Or maybe somewhere in between, right? On a continuum of 0 to 10, it's going to fall somewhere on there. And here we are, and we can't change that outcome. It's time to get on the scale. It's time to get on the table for the scan. You can't change that outcome, all right? So the outcome's going to be what it is. What you need to consider is what happens next, all right? The outcome we have no control over, but what we do have control over. So in using the sphere of control, notice these 3 circles are embedded within themselves. Ultimately, there is no control. That's the outer ring. We have no control over this outcome that is this afternoon or tomorrow or on Tuesday per se. But when we get the results, whether it's the news we want or the news we don't want, we face it and then we decide, all right, what's within our control now. So there are going to be things we have some control over and some things we have complete control over, all right? And those are our behaviors. We cannot control what happens. So let's use the PET scan as an example. We absolutely cannot control what happens with those results in a day or 3 days. But once we have those results, you can control your behaviors from here forth, moving forward, on whether or not they contribute to things getting better or they contribute to things getting worse, all right? So then you have to break things down into what are your behaviors where you have total control, some control, and no control. So that ultimately is what I want you to keep in mind moving forward. So once we have, whether it's the number on the scale, the cholesterol test results, the measurement of your visceral fat, if that's a test we were discussing, or perhaps something, like I said, on the far end of seriousness, a PET scan result. Once that results in, then it's time to really evaluate moving forward what things are within your total control. Those are things like what you're choosing to eat every day, whether you're choosing nutrient-dense foods, nutrient-poor foods, how much you're eating, the speed of which you're eating, how are you de-stressing? These are things, how much are you sleeping? How much are you letting your body recover? These are things that are within your control that ultimately can have an effect on these bigger outcomes. So that's what we need to reevaluate once you have the results from whatever it is that we're measuring. Let me know if you have any questions or want to discuss further.